You know what? This movie got my testosterone boiling. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want to go shoot something right now, or just cock a gun and look cool. Anyway, hey there guys, what's up? What's going on? It is Autobot Mike 18 here, back with another movie review, guys. I'm sorry again about location. I hate doing these, I really do. But it's just like my weekends have been crazy. Like, you guys know how busy I am during the week, but like my weekends have been busy too, man. Like, I've been doing sets and everything, and I luckily find 2 hours out of a whole weekend to go to a movie theater and watch these movies, but I just don't find the time to sit down in my normal space, shoot an entire review, set everything up, and just, ugh. That said, guys, I'm sorry. Hopefully this will not continue. But I have another review for you guys today. I went tonight, Friday night, to see a movie I knew very little about, but that is not a bad thing. Guys, in this video, I'm going to be reviewing The Magnificent Seven. The Magnificent Seven is director Antoine Fuqua's newest film. You guys should know who Antoine Fuqua is. He directed Training Day. Recently, he's been on like a roll with like action movies lately. Olympus Has Fallen, Equalizer, now The Magnificent Seven. The guy's a pretty competent, talented director. I've enjoyed most of his movies. I don't think he's made like a perfect movie, but he's made really good movies. And it's got a pretty star-studded cast. This movie is actually a remake of the 1960s film with the same title, which I obviously have not seen. Yay me. And I believe that film was even a remake of a Japanese film by Kurosawa, Seven Samurai. So I obviously have not seen that either. I know. But yeah, guys, I went into this movie pretty blind, actually. I don't remember watching the trailer before I went into this movie. I don't know what it was. I think that I had always thought I'd always seen it, and then about 2 hours before I realized, oh crap, Magnificent Seven's out this weekend, I gotta go see it, I realized I hadn't seen the trailer. I didn't remember it, and then I said, should I watch it? I got 2 hours, should I just watch it? And I said, no, just go into it blind. Why not try something different? So I did. I went into it blind, and boom. Nothing affected me. So if the trailer gave away too much, I'm glad I didn't watch it. So guys, The Magnificent Seven, getting into the premise of this movie, guys, follows it's set in the 1860s, 1870s in this small town called Rose Creek. Yes. And we follow a robber baron, ruthless guy criminal character, who's after gold, essentially. He's played by Peter Sarsgaard. And he preys upon this town of Rose Creek, kills a bunch of people. A lot of the townspeople who are left alive are up in arms. They want revenge, essentially. They don't want him to push them around. So they look to a bounty hunter, played by Denzel Washington, to essentially help them out here and essentially mount a defense for them. So Denzel decides to get involved and puts together a group of gunslingers and outlaws to help defend this town against capitalistic greed. If I wasn't holding the camera, I would have done this. Hold on. Yes. Anyway, guys, yes, so that essentially is The Magnificent Seven for the most part. So, what is this movie? It is I would call it an action western, a modernized western. Okay, and if you guys know me, I don't know if I've reviewed any other westerns. I probably have here or there, but they're not my biggest, it's not my favorite genre. I'm not a huge western guy. But I was nevertheless looking forward to this movie because Antoine Fuqua was attached to direct, and the cast alone. Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke, Vincent D'Onfrio? Yes, Vincent D'Onfrio. So all of those names that were attached to it and everything, that was one thing alone that got me into theater. And as I said, I did not watch the trailer. And how is The Magnificent Seven? Well, it's actually pretty damn entertaining. Yeah, I actually had a blast with this movie. I don't think it's particularly groundbreaking or original in that sense. I think a lot of elements to it feel formulaic and generic, so that isn't the greatest thing in the world. That said, I think this movie rides very, very strong with its central cast, consisting of the main group of the 7 guys, as well as some really good supporting performances on the side as well. And really succeeds to that with also a very surprising screenplay that I actually got pretty into, because it's not just your straight up like action thriller set in the 1800s, and and it's a western, everybody's got to wear a cowboy get up and everything. I really got, of course, the movie works very well as your classic revenge story, tale of retribution. One, something really bad, people lose a lot of things, or a lot of people that are close to them in the beginning, they want revenge. Other specific singular characters want revenge throughout the movie. It's a revenge film, kind of like The Equalizer was, in certain aspects. Fuqua's last film. And so I think that works pretty well. But one thing that I really enjoyed about the script is it's very sharp and it's witty. Like, it actually has a lot, like, there's a lot of, like, humor to it, actually. I found it quite humorous. And I was really, really surprised about that. I was not expecting that at all, actually. Like a modernized Western that has humor in it, thought it was good. And I think a lot of it, I would assume a lot of it was written while they were working on the script. I doubt that a lot of it was ad-libbed on set. It feels like scripted humor, but it doesn't feel like force. Like, the conversations between the characters are really quick and really witty, actually. They have great banter amongst each other. Like, I kind of knew that where the tone of the movie was going. It was kind of delving a little bit into that humorous, like, oh, like, we have great relationships with each other back and forth. We're gonna, like, bang a joke off one another. Like, there's a lot of great sequences, that bring that tone to, like, the max. Like, there's a sequence where the group of 7 are training townspeople and using guns. There's a lot of great one-liners here or there throughout it. Just the overall scenario of them not knowing how to use a gun is funny in its own right. So you could look at it, I guess, as dark comedy. I just find it humorous in general. And I think the first scene alone, like, set that tone up pretty well. There's a scene where the townspeople are, like, in a church, and they're, like, complaining about their grievances and everything, and some guy who I guess owns, like, a whorehouse at the time, some guy's, like, complaining about everything, and the guy who owns the whorehouse is like, well, I saw you there the other night. And I was like, okay, that was funny. And my whole audience burst out laughing. So there's a lot of great moments like that I think really worked and made the screenplay feel like it wasn't just your classic revenge story with just a lot of action and gunfights and some explosions and everything. It felt more than that. It brought out layers to the characters. It made them likable, for me at least. So good job, movie. Now, I know one could easily complain about how there's a lot of characters and not a lot have screen time and everything, and, like, of course, you're going to focus more on Denzel Washington, the big names, like Denzel Washington and Chris Pratt, and maybe less on, I'm forgetting names of these actors as well, so you know what I do in these circumstances, guys. I whip out my trusty iPhone and I read their names to you. But the group of the Magnificent Seven, it's Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke, Vincent D'Onfrio, Byung-hun Lee, Manuel Garcia Rolfo, and Martin Sensmeyer. I don't know those last 3 pretty well at all, but they all were pretty awesome. They all, I think, for the most part, had their own distinct character traits. For example, Byung-hun Lee, I thought was amazing. Like, I loved that character so much. He was so skilled with, like, the blades and everything. That was really cool. Chris Pratt was really into explosives and everything. He has a lot of great one-liners throughout the movie. He overall is just very charming and likable as hell. By the way, there's one moment in this movie where Chris Pratt is riding on a horse into battle. He's got the cowboy hat on, and I swear to God, it's a wide shot, and you would have fooled me. I would have thought it was a shot from Indy 5. I really would have. He is the if they're gonna make an Indy 5, just cast him already. I don't know if they. I don't know. I don't follow the news. I don't know if they have cast someone already. I know they want to make an Indy 5, but if they're going to, you better cast Pratt, because he fits that role so. I think he'd fit that role so well. Anyway, enough of that. Each character has a certain, I guess, they have their own flaws. They have their own traits that make them important and make them seem impressionable, at least. Obviously, Denzel Washington is the best character and the one that I think everyone is probably going to relate to. I would have even loved more of Denzel in this movie, because one can never not love enough of Denzel. Denzel's one of my favorite actors, so that's another reason why I wanted to go see this movie, and it all pays off. It paid off incredibly well. I think Denzel was great. And there were a lot of interesting layers to his character. For example, there's a great sequence, the fireplace scene where they're all camping out at night somewhere in the desert, I guess. There's a great conversation between Denzel and Ethan Hawke, and it's really short, but it really just said so much about their characters and just their history together. Also, side note, great to see Ethan Hawke and Denzel Washington back together in a movie since Training Day. Side by side, literally, in the movie. So that was cool. Ethan Hawke was great. Vincent D'Onfrio was great. Yeah, I was really digging the cast as a whole. They had great chemistry with one another, great line delivery. I think they all worked off each other really well, and it helped because the screenplay was so good in terms of their dialogue between one another. But they're all just very charming, and I think that just the movie in general was just really well casted. Moving on, I think rest in peace to the late James Horner, because the score in this movie is kick-ass. In a year where we've had just mediocre, meh scores, or just scores, I haven't heard, the score of the year. I'm not saying this is the score of the year so far, but it's one of the best scores we've gotten in a year that's been kind of meh for scores. So, amazing work. It was adventurous. It got my spirits riled up. I was really into it. The music was great. And I think as a whole, as an action movie, whoa, holy shit, this movie is well, what's the word? It's not going to hold anything back. I couldn't think of the word I wanted to say, but it's there's a lot of action in this movie. The entire third act, alone, the last 25 minutes of this movie is straight up gunfights, blades piercing into people, explosions going off, guns and shit just going like crazy, and just horse riding and just townspeople firing guns, the group of the 7 firing guns, people getting shot left and right, and it is so absorbing. The tension is palpable. I was so into the scene, into that sequence. Antoine Fuqua, this is probably one of his best set pieces I've ever seen him do in a movie. I think it was great. It everything really paid off and really built up to that climax, which is just literally nonstop action. And it's one of the most exciting sequences you'll see all year long. It almost brought to mind like a just elongated or just a slightly shorter final act of just nonstop action for like a war-ish type movie where there's battles, like Saving Private Ryan, where the last 45 minutes of that movie is just one long battle. So it worked. It really worked in that sense. The choreography and everything is really good. I can imagine the blocking, the floor plans they had to do to plan where each character was going to end up and everything. An insane amount of prep must have gone into that. So hats off to Antoine Fuqua and the choreographers and the collaborators and everyone who worked on that giant set piece, because it was a great sequence. Amazing. The costumes and everything really worked. I got that Western feel. The pacing and everything is really good. The problems where this movie lies, or they come into the film, for me anyway, just throughout, in terms of structuring and originality. I feel that there's definitely a lot of predictable moments here or there, and this is honestly what's keeping me from saying, yes, that Magnificent Seven is one of the best movies of the year. It is really entertaining and fun as hell that I would definitely recommend you go check out, but it doesn't always trudge past being that generic, like, Western revenge story that you've seen 100 times and you know where everything is going to go, what characters are going to do. For example, there's literally the one character in the movie who is fearful of of going into battle and is contemplating not even going. Okay, so that I've seen done a million times before. I knew the fate of several characters. I knew where all that was going. Peter Sarsgaard, I haven't talked about him yet for a very important reason. I thought he was a very one-note antagonist who honestly just shows up in the first scene, causes havoc, and they set him up pretty well, and then they literally do nothing with him for the rest of the movie, and it is really, really frustrating because you're rooting so well for this one side with Denzel Washington at the head, and then everybody else on the other side, you're just like, okay, they're the bad guys. But I just know that because they're bad, okay? Because they killed a couple people in the beginning. That's it. There's really nothing else that just adds to that added to that for me. So that kind of fell flat for me. Just in general, the overall structuring, nothing feels wholly unique. There's a lot of predictable moments and beats that you know that the film is going to hit. In terms of structure, it's very familiar. That said, I enjoyed The Magnificent Seven. I had fun with it. I think it works as a solid action movie. If you want to just go and just, you know, go to the movie and just be completely blown away by the third act, I think the third act alone is worth the price of admission. But I can't go all the way because it is not a perfect movie. That said, it's a really fun and entertaining movie. I definitely recommend you guys check out at some point. I think Antoine Fuqua and the cast and the crew, they all had a lot of fun with this movie, and you could tell in the final cut of the movie. Guys, in the end, I'm going to give The Magnificent Seven an 8.75 out of 10 or a B+. I definitely recommend viewing it at some point. It's nothing unique, but it's very, very entertaining, really action-packed, gritty, and actually quite humorous as well. So guys, there you have it. Those are my thoughts on The Magnificent Seven. Hope you guys enjoyed my review. I'd want to hear from you guys now. What did you think of The Magnificent Seven? If you've seen it, let me know down below in the comments. And as always, guys, thank you so much, as always, for watching. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.